Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Attack the Baseline, a WNBA podcast where every episode we attack our baseline knowledge of the WNBA. We're your hosts, John and Kristen Barber, and today we are back for 3 more teams. You know the drill. Today, we're going to talk about the Golden State Valkyries, the Connecticut Sun, and the Toronto Tempo. A last year expansion team, a this year expansion team, and a team that, unfortunately, is on their way to another city next year. So we got a lot to talk about. But before we do, Kristen, how are you?
I am pulling through. I'm back.
She's back.
From my conference. I was in San Diego. It was beautiful there. Lovely. But I took the red eye last night. Landed... I just always think, it takes 6 hours. The flight is 6 hours from California to here. But it was a heck of a tailwind. We were only in the air like 4.5 hours.
Yeah, crazy.
Not even.
You were slated for, I think it was 5:15 was how long it was supposed to be.
So it was very short. I did not sleep. So, but this is my time of the day where I have the most energy I will have. And then I'm going to probably go to sleep when we're done with this.
Yeah, I finished work at 4 o'clock and I was working from home today, and Kristen said, I've got energy now. We got to do it. We got to do it now. Let's do it now. And I'm like, all right, fine. Let's go record the pod. So that's what we're doing. Before we get into the ins and outs of the Valkyries to start, if you'd like to send us an email and let us know how you're feeling about your team, you can do so at our email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com. Connect with us on Bluesky, Instagram, TikTok at ATBPod. Leave us a 5-star rating and review if you'd be so kind on whatever platform it is that you listen to the show, Spotify, Apple, whatever, whichever one. Just, hit the 5-star, say you love the show. Really means a lot to us. Subscribe to the YouTube, and of course, word of mouth, tell your friends and family to lock into the show. The season's around the corner. We've got preseason games happening every single day at this point. There's a huge slate of games tonight as we're recording this. In fact, the Toronto Tempo's first game ever. So it's very cool to see WNBA basketball back on our screens. And again, that's all free until the regular season starts. So check out the WNBA app if you haven't already to watch some preseason basketball and get ready for the regular season, which is right around the corner. Alrighty then, Kristen, here we go. Golden State Valkyries last year had a 23-21 record. They were good for 8th in the league, and they lost in round 1 to Minnesota. They have the title of being the first expansion team in their first year in the W to make the playoffs. A very impressive run. A team that we were quite low on, all things considered, when we did our previews last year. I know I had them at the bottom of the list, and that was definitely a mistake because they vastly outperformed where we were expecting, and they were really fun to watch. And Valhalla was a major narrative of last year's W season. As far as their starting 5 goes, to me, and there's a lot that we can quibble about when we talk about this roster because it's pretty deep, pretty good. I have Veronica Burton, Tiffany Hayes, Gabby Williams, who they paid to a massive contract, Kayla Thornton, and Ileana Repair at the 5, with their 6th player being one of Cecilia Zandalasini or Janelle Salon, but you could argue that either of those 6 women could be in the starting lineup. So I feel really good about those 7 players that I just named being, the starting 5 plus 2. I think this is a team that is set up for success and to build off of the chemistry that they have last year. But Kristen, at first blush, how you feeling about the Valkyries going into year 2?
Yeah, I am feeling great about the Valkyries. I love that they picked up Gabby Williams, a huge pickup for them. She brings so much energy and like force to the court. While she is but it makes it, I think, a little tougher to set this starting lineup. John and I were just talking about this a little bit before we started recording. I do think the Valkyries could use another, like either a solid point guard to let Veronica play the 2 and just shoot. Obviously, Veronica has grown immensely. She was the most improved player last year. She played amazing and unrivaled, won a championship with the Mist, won a championship on the 3-on-3 FIBA in Mexico. So she's been having an incredible year. I trust the team with Veronica Burton being the ball handler. I just feel like it's just a place where they lack a little bit.
Yes.
So I do think I can see Tiffany Hayes starting. I can see Chechi starting and just making it an overall just a bigger lineup with, you know, more movement in positions. This to me feels like a pretty positionless basketball team.
Yes.
Where everyone is capable of shooting. That's a modern basketball strategy. So they've set themselves up well in that sense. But just going back to Gabby is on the shorter side. She's 5'11", but she really doesn't shoot that many threes.
No.
And she is a small forward, I would say.
Yeah, I like her in that role, 2-3, defensive minded though.
Yes, very defensive minded. So it will bring a little bit of a difference to the lineup, Gabby, because she's not like the pure shooter that the whole rest of the team kind of was last year. So she brings a different edge, I think, which I'm excited about.
Yes, I think she's going to show this team some new defensive looks. Obviously, you mentioned the toughness, very tough player. I think she honestly is a perfect get for this club. To bring it back to, you know, this team maybe not having a true point guard, I will say that Veronica Burton did a lot of work in Unrivaled and of course in year 1 to, you know, work on her handling and make her handling as good as possible. She is certainly increasing and should increase in her assist numbers. I think she has the chops to be a true number 1 point guard, but it's definitely an area that I feel like they could, you know, look to have a little bit of improvement. So, you know, just some more added passing when your team is predicated on shooting as many threes as this team is, I think would add a lot to them.
Well, I will say in the expansion draft, they lost Carla Late,
who was probably their purest point guard.
Who, right, I think would have started at the 1 here. But I think they're not going to probably miss a huge step because they lost Carla.
Right. And if we're talking about who they lost Carla Late, who we've talked about with Portland, her high potential, her, you know, massive ceiling as a potential top of the line point guard in this league. Losing her is considerable for this team. But the other player that they lost was Maria Conde, who was a player that didn't come over for them last year. So as far as what they lost in this expansion draft, we were really anticipating that they were going to lose some significant talent or more top of the line talent. I mean, I named the 7 players that are, you know, contending for the starting 5 there. And I thought we were going to lose 2 of them because you could have only protected 5. And yet they're all still here. You add Gabby, you potentially add Yuste Yosite, who you drafted 5th overall in last year's draft. She's currently not with the team, but signed her rookie tenure. I would expect her to come over at some point soon to add another shooting guard, small forward to the mix. But yeah, I mean, they didn't lose a lot. And even, you know, you could say that they gained a player in Caitlin Chen, who I know played for this team last year, but she's a bona fide member of this roster. I think she's a lock to make it at this point because of what we saw in Athletes Unlimited. Very well liked by the coaching staff, very well liked by the players around her. I think Caitlin Chen could be a type of player to be that backup point guard role and serve what this team needs from passing and ball handling. Really good, really deep roster.
Yeah.
I want to take a moment though. Are you kind of surprised that they didn't get another big free agent signing, and like Gabby was kind of it, and then they prioritized re-signing KT and bringing back Tip, even though it took a little while for her to re-sign. But are you surprised that we didn't see another league vet making the move to Golden State like we've kind of anticipated was going to be the case even after their first year expansion draft?
Yeah. No, I actually am kind of surprised and not. I don't know. I am surprised because I would have just thought that it to me, it seems like such a cool, fun, like awesome place to go where the culture was just like amazing right off the bat. The coach is great, the whole coaching staff, the team gets along so well. So yes, I did think it would be more of a destination for the like 100 free agents that we had. But I do also think they crafted this lineup so well last year, and you were right in the sense that a lot of them didn't leave. They didn't lose much. So in that sense, I understand not wanting to kind of start all over again by getting more free agents and like mess up the roster, mess up the vibes, and having to change stuff. I feel like they filled a hole with Gabby, but kept the basis of the team that was so successful last year. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah. They wanted to prioritize keeping together a team that was successful and running back as much as they could. And they ultimately were able to run it back 90-95%. And then you make a significant ad in Gabby Williams.
They made another ad.
They did make another ad.
They made another ad. I think you're forgetting. They added Kia Stokes.
True. Yes, to bolster their, they don't have a ton of bigs on this team, traditional bigs, but Kia is a traditional defensive big who will likely be used in traditional defensive big sets. Already mentioned Ileana. And like Chechi and KT, I don't consider, the biggest of bigs.
No.
But after Chechi's not. KT is a power forward, but like they're kind of lacking in size.
Yeah.
And they lost Monique Billings from last year. So they did lose one of their bigs to Indiana. I'm curious to see, and we discussed this in our ATB group chat, that maybe if Yuste is on a suspended contract, if she decides not to come over for an extended period of time, will they be able to retain a player like Letitia Ami here, who is a big and is also well liked in that locker room? There is a certain element of a roster crunch for this team, but having a little extra size is probably where we're going to see this team being deficient at times this season. The only other player we haven't really mentioned is Kate Martin, who unfortunately sustained a grade 2 quad injury the other day in practice. She's going to miss maybe a week or two of time. She might not necessarily be ready for the start of the season. But Kate's here. Kate's still here. Another very well-liked player, a player that could probably play point guard in a pinch, even though I look at her as a shooting guard. But she gives us, a fun story arc with her and VB being, being together. That's fun. Exciting to see that.
Confirmed
the chemistry
or not confirmed? We're not sure. But
yeah, I thought we did confirm it.
Highly-
Apologies if I'm
highly
pushing that.
likely.
Highly likely, I would say.
Well, we can talk about the players that they just drafted.
Yes.
So you're right, I think, right now that there's not a lot of spots on this team.
No.
I feel like there's one, there might be two.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have the 2 development pool players, which at this point we haven't heard anything about that from the Valks of who they will put in the development pool.
Correct.
But they drafted Marta Suarez at 18. She's a big. That can be helpful.
Yeah. Yep. Well, they drafted Flage and then they traded
Well,
Flage. Yeah.
okay, fine.
Yeah.
They
Not to
drafted
relitigate
Flage,
that.
they swapped.
Yep. Go listen to the draft pod. We had opinions back then. Won't go into all of them there. But yes, they add Marta Suarez, who adds size.
Right.
Yes. Size and shooting, which they do like.
Ashlyn Jackson, who is a guard at 23, and Kokoro Tanaka at 38.
Who did not sign her tenure. So
International stash.
yes, she's staying in Japan. And it honestly looks like you could see the argument where Ashlyn and Marta are the 2 development pool players for this team in their first year.
And they keep Ami here.
They keep Ami here if they can suspend Yuste's contract for a certain amount of time, or if Yuste can be away from the team and then they get like an extra body because she's not currently with the team. But Yuste did sign her rookie tenure. So I still think that she's anticipating coming over. But we're still seeing a lot of these international prospects who signed not being with the team yet. So I don't think she's going to start the year with the team. If you want to just read down the numbers, I've got VB, I've got Yuste, I've got Caitlin Chen, got Tiffany Hayes, Kyla Charles, who we didn't bring up, but is on a fully protected contract. Kate Martin makes 6. Gabby, Janelle, that's 8. KT and Chechi, that's 10. And then Rupert and Kia Stokes is 12. And then I keep mentioning LA. LA is only in the case if they get a free spot if Yuste doesn't come over. And then I think Marta and Ashlyn go to the development pool.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking they had another spot, but I guess they do not at this point. Yeah, Kyla Charles is not someone that's been on my radar, but she is a protected contract here, so she will be on the team.
Yep.
She was drafted in 2020 by Connecticut. I just don't really.
She had a good end of her year last year. She ended up on my dynasty team in the playoffs. I was rotating her in and out. Decent player. I don't have like a huge take on Kyla Charles, but clearly a vet that they value.
Yeah, a backup guard. So that's Kyla Charles. Kayla Thornton, I'm very excited to see.
Yes. Coming off her injury that ended her year a little short last year. I think she's going to have, her first All-Star appearance last year. There's a lot that individually these players are going to be excited about in year 2. Chips on their shoulders as a team or as individuals.
Yeah.
And
Kayla just had, such a huge role on this team in the beginning of the year last year. And I think people didn't expect it, didn't see it coming. So I'm excited to see if that carries over to year 2, if she keeps it up, which I do think she can after she was injured, but I do think she can.
I think she can too. I honestly feel pretty good about this team, but Kristen, in our power rankings, our preliminary power rankings, where do you have the Valkyries? Because I almost feel like I could boost them a little higher, but I'm not going to. I'm going to stick with where my gut put them.
Can you tell me where you have them first?
You want me to go first? I'll go first. I have them ending in the 8th seed again.
8, okay.
This year. Yes.
Okay.
As one of my playoff bubble teams, I could certainly see them locking down a spot, but I think they're like just on the fringe.
Okay.
But I know they play together, so that could be good.
I do feel very good about this team. I think they're going to pick up right where they left off. I feel like they're in this middle bubble with these other teams that I just don't know how it's going to work out. And I feel like I can talk about it, some previews for upcoming pods. Like LA, the Sparks, like should be way better this year, but it didn't translate at the beginning of last year. So I don't know how they're going to be. They ended so hot last year. So are they going to live up to their potential? Minnesota, I'm really worried with Fee out, and their roster is just like a bunch of holes to me right now. So I have them. I've shifted these 3 teams around so many times.
Good to know for later.
I'm just saying, a preview. I have them right now 7.
Okay.
Which I guess I feel good about.
Yeah. I think that's a good spot for them. But I think
5 through 7, I can see.
Well, sounds like a playoff team to me. Golden State fans definitely be excited. I'm looking forward to seeing Valhalla packed out in year 2 and to see more Violet, their bird mascot. I love a bird mascot. Let's see what crazy stuff she gets into in year 2 as she continues to grow her brand. But yeah, looking forward to everything that we have to see in Golden State year 2. Okay. Next, we have the Connecticut Sun. Their last year in Connecticut before they are transitioned to becoming the Houston Comets in a return of Houston to the league. Connecticut. What is there to be said about Connecticut? They were 11-33 last year, which was not the worst in the league, but just above the worst. They finished 11th, didn't make the playoffs. A potential starting 5 for me for this team is Layla Lacan, Sanaya Rivers, Diamond Miller, Aaliyah Edwards, and Brittany Griner. But similar to Golden State, I have trouble, and I could see a number of different players being in the starting 5 as I look at who's just on the outside of those 5 that I mentioned. You have potential 6-player Olivia Nelson-Ododa. You have Kennedy Burke, who they gave $1 million contract to. And even Anissa Morrow, I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up in the starting lineup. But when I was beginning looking into this team, I was like, well, you gave a max to Brittany Griner. BG did come off the bench for Atlanta, but I kind of anticipate her getting the starting nod, at least to start the season, especially because she's been already well loved by the fans. They're lining up to get autographs. So that's why I put BG there. And there's already been multiple comments that Aaliyah Edwards is very important to this franchise. So I kind of think that you have to start her as well, especially with after how she did in Unrivaled. So I struggled with this starting 5, but I think that's what it's going to be. But we'll see. Connecticut, Kristen, what are your thoughts about the good old Sun?
Well, I honestly am just still so shocked that Marina is not on this team anymore. Totally letting Marina go, which is just like wild to me.
Yeah.
The starting lineup is hard. I totally think Layla starts.
Yeah.
I totally think Aaliyah Edwards starts. I totally think Sanaya starts at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Diamond Miller, I'm
Who
not
knows?
sure. She just was traded.
Yeah.
She probably won't. And Brittany Griner, honestly, I don't know. Like, I feel like BG is okay with not starting at this point.
Yes.
Like, she's getting paid.
Right. This is the BG retirement tour.
Like, I think she will start if they want her to and if she wants to, but I don't think it's like she's forcing herself to start on this team.
Sorry, strike that. I know I just said BG retirement tour. She did say that she wants to play in Houston next year. I'm not saying that she's retiring.
Like she said she's coming to the Sun because she wants to be in Houston next year when they move. So this isn't like an older vet like forcing her way onto a bad team to be a starter. I don't think. I think they do really like Olivia Nelson-Ododa. I think she will start.
Okay.
Instead of BG.
Okay.
And like maybe maybe it's Anissa Morrow. I mean, she's bigger. Maybe it's like Gianna Neepkins that they want to start. I don't know.
I would be surprised. With what I feel like with Anissa is the argument for her is that she can slot into that the spot that I have for Diamond Miller. I think you could put Anissa Morrow there at the 3, and that would be fine. That's why I think like potentially she could get a nod. I think Coach Mezion, who ended up surviving his first year, does like Anissa Morrow. So I can see the argument there with him using pieces that he had last year as opposed to new pieces as his starters. But it's an interesting group of players. I wrote down pretty young, very big, and a team that I do expect to lose a lot of basketball games.
Yeah. And I don't think that they're upset about that necessarily.
No. Because when I really look at how this team is constructed, given, I know people don't like to hear about this, but like given with the way that the lottery is set up, with it being a 2-year record situation, we're saying that the teams that we haven't gone through our power rankings, but we said that Portland was going to be a bad team, but Portland's only going to have 1 year of bad records. Kristen said that Seattle was going to be the worst team, but Seattle was good last year. So Connecticut was bad last year, and we also anticipate them to be bad this year. I think you, as a Connecticut Sun fan, or if you're a new Houston Comets fan, should be looking forward to Connecticut having a really, really, really good shot of getting Juju Watkins in next year's draft. So I think there's plenty to be excited about in that regard. But even just looking at the draft board for next year, it's a little different than what we saw at the top of this year's draft. There's not really there's not really a ton of bigs. It's very guard heavy. Even, point guards, shooting guards. This team certainly could use additional guards in its roster. I was struggling to like figure out who the backup guards are, but it's really like 3 or 4 guards and then a bunch of bigger players. And that works out for them if they do end up getting the first or the second overall pick next year with, the pick that they own. I think that's just where I want to put expectations here. I don't think they're necessarily constructed to win unless you see some major leaps from players like Sanaya Rivers or players like Layla Lacan, who we know are both very good.
Oh yeah, they're both going to be great.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of these players are good in their own way.
Totally.
Like in their own.
Totally.
Right. But like meshing together. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I don't see the shooting's not there.
Right.
I don't know where the scoring punch is necessarily coming from.
Yeah. Right. They don't really have. I mean, Sanaya was working on it. She's working
on it. Aaliyah's also working on it.
Right. But even Sanaya as a guard, her specialty is defense.
Right.
Yeah. So they just don't have the shooters. So I guess this is why they pick Gianna Neepkins.
It was a great pick for them to have Neepkins fall to 15 and add somebody that's as pure of a shooter as Neepkins is, a player that people considered to be the best shooter in this past year's draft. Yeah, that's great. That's a position of need.
Right.
And she's a rookie. So like you get a free excuse of like, you don't need to force her to play all the time. If you do really want to try to set yourself up for success next year. But I think it makes sense for us to maybe get into this conversation of, I think you've said it before, like, how much turnover are you expecting to see from this team as far as their head coach, their front office, when they make the transition to
everyone.
Houston? Yeah, like Coach Mezion, I don't know. What
do you mean? Of course, everyone's going to change.
It's kind of a bummer to just know it's over, except for the players who are like, well, I'll be in Houston next year.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a
I
very
mean, it's
weird.
kind of, I feel like it's been this way. I feel like this whole past season, people knew it wasn't going to be Connecticut anymore. It wasn't going to be the Sun
In Mohegan,
in
right?
how we know it, right? They've been talking about moving all last year.
Yeah. It's just weird that it's like
and changing ownership.
so drastic. Right. Yeah. So new owners, you expect, a pretty clean house.
Well, yeah, but this is something that in the draft, they pick before Gianna Neepkins at 12, they picked Nell Angloma, who is French. I haven't heard from her if she's coming over. I don't think she's signed anything yet.
She did?
She did? Okay,
She did.
so she's coming.
I'd expect her. But it could be, it's similar to Yuste, where she signed it, and we don't know for sure. She's not with the team yet.
Okay. But I imagine like that was partly because of head coach Rashid Mezian, who is French, knowing French players and, having a relationship with French players. And Nell has said already, she appreciates having a head coach who's French. That would obviously change next year when he's not the coach anymore.
But, maybe the front office said, well, Coach Mezian, we'll give you, a player that maybe it was his pick at 12 and he wanted Nell for that reason. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, this is something that I've heard be discussed. I don't remember who I heard talk about this, another podcast maybe, because everyone already knows, like, this is not going to be the Sun next year. It's moving to Houston. There's already the owners. Like, they are getting set up to be the Houston Comets again. How much of the moves... Oh, maybe Kathy talked about... This was a question that Kathy talked about in the press conference.
Oh, yeah.
What
did Kathy have to say?
Well, someone asked, like, how much of what the Sun do this year is the Sun doing it, or is it the Comets doing it? Like, are the Comets going to have any influence on these picks? I don't know if that's allowed. But Kathy basically was like, they can make agreements however they want.
Right. It's really up to, the new ownership and the old ownership.
Yeah, they can talk and they can make agreements. So I don't know.
I'll be really curious to see if like any front office pieces move to Houston. I'm sure there'll be a couple. Maybe who knows? These staffs are pretty big now, especially in the new CBA of what you are required as a team to staff. I could see like a certain percentage of the Connecticut staff moving to Houston, but yeah, I think it remains to be seen if Coach Mezian or the general manager's office are going to make it through.
Okay, so right now I have 8 players being on the roster plus the 4 rookies that they drafted.
Yes.
That's what we think it will be.
No, that's not what I think it will be.
Okay.
I have interesting notes here. So I have 2 of their rookies being stashed in the development pool. Charlize Ledger-Walker and Taylor Bigby, who, one UCLA to pair with your other UCLA, which is good to have. There's these UCLA players ending up on common teams is kind of fun. But I think Charlize is a good player to stick in the development pool. And Taylor Bigby popped a little bit in the tournament, so I think it makes sense to stash her as well. What I have as far as those other roster spots are concerned is bringing in a veteran backup point guard in Shea Petty. I could see Shea Petty making the team out of training camp. I think that makes a lot of sense when you look at who's at that training camp. Shea played a decent amount with Indiana last year. So I think it just makes sense for them to add that. I do have a question mark next to her, but she's one of the open spots, let's say. I do have them signing Gianna and Nell to full-time roster spots. So 2 of the 4 rookies I have being there. And then the other spots, they made a waiver claim for Kyla Oldacre.
She's very tall.
She's very tall. I understand, but they went out of their way to do that. We haven't seen any other players get claimed that have been cut. That proves to me that they either want to stash her on the development pool and one of those other 2 rookies ends up making the 12-woman squad. But I do think Kyla Oldacre is a member of this team. And then I have, it's weird to say how big this team is, but it's like a lot of centers and not a ton of like true power forwards. So I have Reagan Beers making the team too. Another young player who's in camp with this group to serve as a backup a depth power forward. Who knows? It is very up in the air, but I think it just makes sense for them to just go super, super young and spend a lot of these roster spots on recent college graduates.
I mean, look, it makes sense for them to go really young because other vets don't want to come here. I think BG is a huge exception.
Yeah.
That she was willing to come and play in Connecticut where
Yes.
vets don't want to play.
Right.
Because of their facilities. And she wants to be in Houston when I feel like other vets wouldn't want to deal with having to move next year again. The last thing I'll say is just about Tina Charles, an unsigned free agent from last year who played on the Sun. She was great on this team last year. Like one of the highest scorers on the team every night. Was very good defensively. Overall, a great piece on this team. And clearly, they have other centers. She's a center. So I don't think she fits here. And I'm struggle. This is a similar situation with Natasha Cloud, where we have to just wait and see if she gets signed somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I hope she does.
Yeah. I think TC belongs on a team. At least for a one more year, like for what she gave to the league. Come on.
She hasn't become the scoring champion yet.
No.
Most points
Now,
scored.
remember when we said, is she going to do it? It might be a little hard to do it now.
Yeah, so she better come back and play again.
Yeah. I mean, look, with her and Tosh, there could be a scenario where we just wait for, and I knock on wood, like a major injury to a player at a position where they could be utilized. And then they get the call up on a, prorated contract. But yeah, it is a shame with what TC did for this team last year, playing the role that BG is playing this year and being the willing vet to come there and play for them. And to give her all for that team. Yeah, it would have been nice if they sort of patted her on the back and said, yeah, you can run it back one more year. And I do kind of think that there's room for her. I know you said she's a center. You could play her at the 4. I don't know. You could play her and BG together. I want to see
That
it.
would be crazy.
You're not trying, I know the players try to win. I don't think this front office is trying to win. And they're setting themselves up for the future. Or I can't even say that because they're not even going to be there.
They're setting up Houston.
They're setting up Houston for the future.
Yeah. Before, when I talked about like, oh my gosh, how could they let Marina go? They're like making this team be horrible because they want Houston to be horrible.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to let Houston have Juju. So
Yeah, well,
good for them.
Perhaps. Well, let's not beat around the bush here. Where do you have the Sun finishing? They're not last for you.
Correct. They're second to last.
Yes, me too. The first one that we finally agreed on,
Okay.
the 14
Oh,
spot.
wow. We haven't agreed at all yet? No?
No, we've been a little off. Off by 1 in a lot of places.
Yeah.
So regionally correct.
Okay.
But the 14th overall team, and on the basis of odds, probably has a really good shot to get Juju Watkins next year. My heart goes out to you, Connecticut fans. Wishing you all the best in this difficult time. I hope that you find solace in picking a new team, or if you make the move to Houston because you love these players. I just hope you feel comfortable one way or another. And I want let us know. Let us know where you're ending, where you feel like you're going to be going after this farewell tour from the Connecticut Sun. Okay, well, that brings us to our third team of the day, the brand spanking new Toronto Tempo, who I don't have any previous records because they didn't exist. So let's get right into what I kind of think that their starting five is going to look like. I've got Julie Allemande, who the front office has already said will be in a major role for this team. We've got Marina Mabrey starting at the 2, Brittany Sykes starting at the 3, Temi Fagbenle, who got a big contract from this team, I have starting at the 4, and I have Niara Sabli starting at the 5. And then 6th woman off the bench, Kia Nurse, the Canadian captain. Hey, we've got 3 recent examples of expansion teams. You've got what Golden State did last year, building through international players. You've got what Portland did, kind of trying that and also building through underutilized younger players, low experienced younger players. And then you have what Toronto did, where they made a couple, important selections in their expansion team and then ended up signing 2 max contract players in Marina and Brittany Sykes. Your thoughts?
And brought in other free agents.
Brought in
Isabel Harrison, brought in Temi, brought in Kia Nurse.
Different pathway.
I love it. I love how each of these 3 expansion teams have totally approached this in a different way. I pretty much knew it from the beginning. Like, Toronto, with the head coach of Sandy Brondello, is going to want to attract free agents. And I think she will attract free agents, and I think she did.
Yeah, she did. So
I really like how this team kind of turned out. It is different from when we did the expansion draft, which
quite different.
Yes, which, is good. I thought that would happen. I do kind of like how this starting lineup has shaped up.
Okay.
It's interesting.
Okay, convince me why it's not just, I don't know. I don't even know what I want to say. I think there's clunky aspects of it, but it is interesting. It's interesting.
I feel like these are players that are good at offense and defense. Pretty much all of them.
Sure.
I don't think any of them are like top 5 in either of those things.
No.
But they have, I feel like these are like balanced players.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I'm trying not to be negative off rip.
Okay.
I'm trying really hard not to be
negative. That's fine.
I do really enjoy a lot of the games of these players, I will say.
Yes.
Marina,
because they have like interesting, good games.
Correct. Marina, a player we know that can shoot you into a game, shoot you out of a game. Julie Allemande, respectable point guard, good floor general player. Brittany Sykes had a down year when we first started the pod. Last year was excellent, was really good and unrivaled, is certainly on an upswing in her career as she's, right near the end of her prime.
Good at offense, good at defense, great at defense.
Yes. Temi, I feel like at times has shown me a lot of flashes, but can sometimes either be struggling with injury or can get bullied by other bigger players. I really like Tammy Fagbenle as a player. Really like Tammy Fagbenle. They spent, they gave her what, $1 million contract, right? A massive contract.
Yeah.
Hey, attractive contract. Good on you. Get that bag, Tammy. I don't know if I consider her a starter necessarily. And I kind of feel the same way about Niara Sabally. But what I'll say about Niara is, of course, there's the relationship with Sandy Brondello when she was in New York. Do I think that Niara has like Satu upside to put her in the shadow of her sister? I think they're different players.
Well, yeah.
But I honestly, I don't really get a read on Niara Sabally personally. I know she's had a handful of flashes, not the same amount of flashes that I've seen with Temi, but I've seen moments. Niara also has struggled with injuries at times. So I am curious what the ceiling of this team can be, but they went out and spent the money and they want to be entertaining. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that from what their front office did.
I will say, you're saying Temi is not a starter. Temi started 38 games last season with the Valkyries.
Hey, it checked me. You absolutely checked me.
Yeah, I did.
Good. Thank you. I don't remember
You're welcome.
it. I don't remember it. It was because it was before the that I don't even know. I really don't remember.
She hadn't started much before.
Yes, hadn't started much before that.
But yeah, she completely filled a starting role in a very good team last year. So
Yes.
I believe in Temi.
Good.
And I absolutely believe in Niara. I think, she's 26. She's still developing. She hasn't had a starting role. She did start 10 games last season on the Liberty because John Quell was out for a long time. But clearly, Sandy Brondello believes in her, and I think that she should. Niara was so bright in New York's championship run 2 years ago.
Very
So-
good in the playoffs.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I think she can absolutely keep developing under Sandy and under that training staff. And I believe in this roster.
Tell me why I should be stoked about Kia Nurse being the first one off the bench.
I'm not including
Oh, you're
Kia
not
Nurse
including Kia Nurse
in the starting lineup.
Yes. Okay. You're excited about the starting lineup. Well, let's look a little deeper past.
I do think the bench is a place of
Leaves a
struggle.
little bit to be desired.
For sure. For sure.
Very excited with Toronto ending up getting Kiki Rice in this draft.
Yes.
That Kiki Rice falls to them, I think, is excellent for the young nucleus of what this team could be. I think she's going to learn a ton from Julie. I think maybe by the end of the year we could see Kiki Rice in a starting role. Who knows, depending on what happens.
Yeah. Well, I do think it's interesting how this kind of unfolded because before the draft, after the expansion draft, before the rookie draft, the tempo said, we want our rookie to basically start.
I don't think that's going to be the case.
I don't think they expected to get
Kiki Rice, sure.
The draft was just such a cluster that they expected to get somebody different.
Yeah.
But I do think Kiki can, will be good on this team. I think it's good for her to learn under Julie for sure. But yeah, I think they kind of had to reimagine some things after the rookie draft.
Right. Let's talk about what we sort of anticipate this team's formula to be, because we know what the Valkyries did in year one. Who's to say what Portland's going to do? But I kind of feel like with the way this roster is constructed, that they're going to at least try to do Golden State Valkyries type stuff, shooting a lot of threes. Even when you compare those two rosters, they both don't have a lot of size. When I look at the 12 women that I have making Toronto, I have really one, maybe two centers. If you're counting Temi as a center, which she certainly could be, but I have her starting. Nyara's there. Izzy Harrison, is a power forward. And then after that,
yeah,
it's
really
not a lot of size.
Yeah, for sure.
You got your Kit Laxas and your Lexi Helds.
All guards.
Yeah, guards, small forwards.
Dang, Christy Wallace has to be on this team.
Christy Wallace is going to be on this team. You know that.
She better.
Back of the bench, small forward. Aaliyah Nye, a player that can chuck, can put up a lot of threes. She's going to be here in whatever capacity. And then they have a lot of young or international question marks in how I foresee their development pool filling out. A player like Nikolina Milic, who I don't know much about, but a player that I know is of decent size and could end up being a bench power forward or taking up a spot on the dev pool. And they did sign one of their rookies to a rookie scale in Tioni Key. So they're making decisions, but they're really top heavy with that starting five. So if that starting five can click, as you are expecting them to, then I do think that they'll be pretty competitive night in, night out.
Mm-hmm. I think they can be competitive. I think they put up a fight. Marina and Brittany Sykes are nothing other than fighters.
Yep.
And they will make you work for it. And I'm not saying they're going to win 40 games, but I'm saying I think that they are going to make teams work.
Yeah, they're definitely going to make them work.
Yeah.
And what I do like about their contracts is that both Marina and Slim are signed for 2-year maxes. So they're here for the inaugural year, and then they get to be part of the core in year 2. I think I like the upfront front office expectations that are there for Marina and Brittany. I think that's pretty cool. I like them banking on them. Let's see them build out that core as the veteran leaders of this team.
Mm-hmm.
And the only last thing I really want to mention is, this team lacking in size, a player that they selected in the expansion draft that is staying in Europe this year after her reserve contract is Maria Kliundakova, who in a pinch last year for Minnesota was quite good as a backup center. If this team had Maria Kay, then I think I'd feel just a little bit more secure, because then they would have real size that I would feel good about.
Yeah, that definitely would have helped. Hey, this team could use Tina, but at this point,
this team could use Tina.
I don't know.
Tina in Toronto.
She'll fit in the salary caps. I'm not sure.
Well, I think that would be fun.
That would be fun.
Anything else about Toronto? I think they're kind of a big mystery box. I could be eating a lot of crow in a month or two with exactly how I felt about the Valkyries and being completely wrong about them. Mm-hmm. I could totally see a world where I'm completely wrong about this team.
I think we have to see how it all works out. They have a lot of training camp contracts right now. Mm-hmm. They have Dara Mabry.
Yes.
On training camp, who's Marina's sister. I think that would be so much fun to have sisters playing together. I'm not sure if she'll make this team. She hasn't been on a team before. But that's so much fun to have her included in training camp. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Kit Laxa, Lexi Held, who both were really dependable guards in Phoenix last year, mm-hmm. and would be great to be on this team. I think they would be great to be on any team, and I think I will kind of be upset for them if they don't end up making this team.
Don't worry. If they get cut, they're going back to Phoenix.
That's very true. Uh-huh. Phoenix has pretty much nobody at this point. Christy Wallace better be on this team to just fulfill my Australians moving to Toronto mm-hmm, because mm-hmm. of Sandy Brondello situation that I have dreamed up. Mm-hmm. And then they do have a couple of international players that we're not sure about, Maria Conde, Nikolina Milic. So I do think that it was smart of Toronto to pick those two players in the expansion draft, stashed them away.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of did it where in the expansion draft, they selected international players that they plan to stash, which I think makes complete sense.
Yeah, it's what we saw the Valkyries do.
Well, yeah, but the Valkyries also started them.
Yes, that's true. They basically drafted all international players,
right.
And they were like, okay, some of you got to come over.
Right, we need some of you here. Yeah, so I am very excited. I think this is just an experiment from Toronto. I think their idea was draft. I think their ideal idea was have a good backbone in the expansion draft and then attract free agents. And I think they did that.
Mm-hmm.
And, they are going with the flow here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we will see what happens. I think this team is fast and it's going to make other teams fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be exciting. They're going to fight.
Yeah, they're going to fight.
They will crash out.
Team full of fighters.
Because of Marina crash out jar. We'll see.
Uh-huh, that's true.
If she brings that with her to Toronto.
Will she bring it along?
Yeah, it remains to be seen. But I think that that was their idea. They did that. And we'll see how it works out.
Well, they're playing their first preseason game tonight as we're recording this. It's 5:15 here on the East Coast. They're going to play at 7. This pod's probably out in the morning as you're listening to it. So go check what happened in the box score as Toronto took on Connecticut in their first game.
Mm.
All right. Where do you have the Toronto tempo finishing in year 1?
I feel like you think I'm going to have them at 6.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think you're going to have them at 12.
Okay, this was another situation where I was very unsure.
Mm-hmm.
I do have them going back and forth with one other team.
Okay.
Currently, I have them at 11.
Okay. Going back and forth with a team that we haven't talked about.
Correct.
So you can't say. Well, I have them bunched. They're the last of my 4 teams that I feel like are not going to make the playoffs. That being the Storm, the Tempo, the Fire, and the Sun. I can see them being frisky at times for sure, and maybe making a push at some point, being in the top 8 for a limited period of time throughout the season.
Maybe I should have them 12.
Okay.
I don't know.
You don't have to change it.
I'm keeping it how I had it. It's 11.
Just another team that's one off from one another.
Okay. Yeah, we can't have the same list. So.
No. Nope. Well, that's everything I have to say about Toronto. Looking forward to Canada getting their first team.
Yes.
And seeing what that means for that country.
Mm-hmm. It'll be good. You have a good team.
You have a good team, Toronto. You got it.
You have rootable players. These are
yes,
players
I'm not
that
saying
are
they're
fun
not
to
rootable.
watch.
I'm not saying they're not rootable.
Okay,
I'm just
feel
saying
like I just
don't
have
know
to
if they're
defend
good.
them. I feel like you're the one usually defending Marina when it comes to talking to me.
I don't know.
But now here we are.
Yeah, I've changed a lot of Marina. I've learned. I've grown.
Sure.
And that's going to do it for this episode of Attack the Baseline. We'll be back in a few days with another 3 teams. We've got 6 more to go before it's time to get started with the season in just over a week. If you would like to send us an email, you can do so again at our email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com. Connect with us on Bluesky, Instagram, TikTok at ATBPod. Leave us a 5-star rating and review on whatever platform it is that you listen to the show. Subscribe to the YouTube. Tell your friends and family, and just get excited. Go watch some preseason basketball. It's free in the W app. You know you want to do it. And thank you for bringing the energy, Kristen. I'm glad you had it. Now go
Time for a bed.
Take that nap that you are hoping for.
Mm-hmm.
That'll do it for this episode of Attack the Baseline. Kristen, I am steering the baseline. And as always, what are we going to do?
Attack it.
Attack the Baseline. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll be back next week, or I'll be back in a few days with 3 more teams to talk about this preseason.